you are at a party. One of your friends drank too much and is very sick. He or she needs medical attention now, but your peers tell you not to call the cops because they are scared everyone's going to get in trouble. So what do you do now? Some of you may leave your friend in order to protect yourself. Others may go against the crowd. But in a state of panic, the decision that you think is best may not be. Either way, there are consequences in every choice that you make that can change someone's life. The majority of people in this room may not come in contact with a situation like this. Many college students have, however, and it's a huge problem that college communities are facing today. There's an increasing amount of deaths and injuries on college campuses because of binge drinking. Medical amnesty is something that can alleviate the problem that many colleges are facing. First, I will discuss the deaths and injuries on college campuses due to binge drinking. Second, I will talk about medical amnesty and how it will decrease the amount of deaths and injuries on college campuses. Finally, I'll explain how this plan is practical and how the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Binge drinking is one of the biggest problems on college campuses. According to the 2007 ABC News article, Can Medical Amnesty Bring Sense to Underage Drinking Debate? Drinking is clearly not an overlooked issue on college campuses. According to federal records, 157 college students drank themselves to death between the years 1999 and 2005. According to the same article, the number of alcohol poisoning deaths per year rose from 18 in 1999 to 35 in 2005. This is a huge increase in the number of deaths because of binge drinking. Students are no longer concerned about the effects that drinking has because all they care about is getting drunk. In a separate 2010 Associated Press analysis of hundreds of news articles about alcohol-related deaths in the past decade found that victims drank well past the point of recollection with an average blood alcohol level of 0.4%, which is 5 times the legal limit for driving. This may not seem like a big deal, but it is. According to the 2009 Hazelton article, Alcohol Poisoning, binge drinking quickly affects the bodily functions that sustain life. As a depressant, alcohol slows down breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. If blood alcohol levels rise sharply in a short time, the areas of the brain that control these functions can be sedated, which is literally put to sleep. When this happens, people lose consciousness and can die. As you can see, this is a huge problem that needs to be addressed. A realistic plan that students will actually abide by needs to be put in place. They need something that will make it easier for them to ask for help when they or a friend need it. Mr. McCardle, who is also the former president of Millbury College in Vermont, wrote an op in the New York Times stating that our official position on drinking can only be abstinence, but what can we do in a situation where 75 to 80% of our populating is not abstaining? While I was thinking about this problem, I came to a conclusion. If you cannot stop the drinking altogether, the next best thing would be to make it easier for students to seek medical attention when it appears in need, without the fear of any consequences. The policy would state that in case of a medical emergency, if a Penn State student calls or reports the police to get help for either themselves or someone else who is intoxicated, that student will not be cited or face legal repercussions because they were drinking as well. First, we will focus on the policy here at Penn State. Over time, the policy will spread to other Penn State campuses and ultimately reaching the college campuses all around Pennsylvania. Bringing this policy to the attention of the UPUA, also known as the student government, would be a clear first step. By bringing up the medical amnesty policy to the government, they would then take it up with the board. After accepting my policy, the board would then set up a meeting with the university official, University Health Services, Penn State Police, and State College Police Department. These different organizations would then work together in order to put my realistic plan into a working policy. This policy will be looked upon students because it's easy to follow. When a student issues medical amnesty, they will have to follow a few certain steps. Although nothing will be put on your criminal record, if a student reports someone who is intoxicated, that student will also be forced to take a class on binge drinking and its negative effects on the human body and lifestyle. Students will then have to complete an 8-week-long class with grade of B or higher to keep the citation off their record. This policy will work through both the university and university police. If someone who is intoxicated calls 911 in a state of emergency, the police will be expected to take names. However, that student will not be punished. The police would then inform the university, and then the university would take proper procedures with both students involved. Throughout the campus, the police will enforce this, and all students will be expected to follow it. Medical amnesty policy will also be part of the code of conduct at Penn State University, and all students on campus will be informed about this policy. Not only will my policy be proven a success through Penn State campuses, but students will also follow it because it's practical. Getting votes on this policy shouldn't be hard at all. This policy is the best way to make binge drinking safer without unrealistically getting rid of it altogether. Although many people feel that medical amnesty is a waste of time, according to the 2008 article, Medical Amnesty and Responsibility, written by Kari Coase, several colleges have passed medical amnesty policies over the past 20 years to address the problem of student drinking, and all have been proven to work. Although there are many disadvantages of medical amnesty, all the advantages of medical amnesty overweight the disadvantages. Although this policy is intended to encourage students to call for medical help, people feel that this just encourages heavy drinking, and the students will never call. However, a 2006 study of the International Journal of Drug Policy found that emergency calls doubled after Cornell's University Good Samaritan policy was enacted in 2002. Lastly, people feel that students won't get real-world consequences. In the real world, if you break the law, you can be fined, face legal consequences, and may even be detained in jail for a night. With this policy, however, the students are only forced to take a class and really experience no negative consequences. However, according to the article Medical Amnesty on studentsforsensiblejudgepolicy.org, it's proven that medical amnesty provides students with the decisiveness they need in order to make responsible, life-saving decisions during confusing and stressful party situations. Every minute spent worrying about judicial consequences is another minute it will take for help to arrive. That minute can very literally be the difference between life and death. Some of you sitting here might not care about this policy, but you should. Every life counts, and every person that crosses your path impacts your life. Even though it may not be your friend that gets in a car accident or dies from alcohol poisoning, we are still all part of the Penn State family. So in conclusion, it's impossible to completely stop binge drinking, but there are other ways to make it safer. Medical amnesty is the easiest and most practical policy that can be implemented. With this policy, students won't be scared of consequences if they need help. It's the easiest way to ensure safer parties on college campuses. So as I close this speech, think of this. If that was you at the party, would you want someone to call?